Good evening. Let me go ahead and call this regular meeting of the Rio Grande City Gruya Independent School District to order. We are Tuesday, September 7th, 2021. It is currently 6:30 p.m. and we are at the RGCG Family and Community Engagement Center located at 1 South 4 Ringgold, Rio Grande City, Texas. Section 1, roll call for purposes of quorum. Mr. J. Peña.
I'm present.
Mr. Basilio D. Vargas Jr.
Present.
Mr. Noe Castillo.
Present.
Mr. Johnny Pope IV.
Present.
Mr. Lesar Velasquez Jr.
Present.
Daria Dr. B. Babineau, absent, and myself, Eddie Ramirez, present. Let the minutes reflect that we do have quorum for purposes of proceeding. Section 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Castillo, will you help us with the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you, Mr. Castillo.
Sure.
Section 3, approval of minutes for the public hearing held August 10th, 2021, the regular board meeting held August 10th, 2021, and the special board meeting held August 27th, 2021.
Mr. President, I move that we approve Section 3 as presented in our board packet.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Castillo. Any discussion? All those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign. Motion carries. Section 4, public forum. Do I have anybody signed up for public forum? Thank you, Ms. Clark. Section 5, reports and information. Item number 1, presentation by City of Rio Grande City Freedom Fest. I believe we have Ms. Angelina Verrial hyphen Pope. No?
I told you guys, you can't be saying that out loud.
Is this item 5?
Because then you're just amping it up, and you got to continue asking the questions, right?
Go ahead, man.
All
You may
right.
proceed.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to thank you as well for sponsoring our Freedom Fest for 2021. I'd like to let you know that it was our 6th annual Freedom Fest for the city, and one of the coolest things about this Freedom Fest is, well, there's 2 things, right? One thing is that it's one of the biggest events in Rio Grande City, and we're proud to be able to offer something for the community and for our residents. Secondly, our proceeds for the cook-off and the car show usually goes to a local nonprofit. This year, that went to Star of Hope, and if you're unaware of who Star of Hope is, they are a domestic violence shelter. Aside from that, I just wanted to thank you a lot for giving us the support, for always being there at the events and also doing what you do. We appreciate the collaboration with the school district, and we hope to continue working together for future events. We'd like to continue to offer free entry for every resident for every future Freedom Fest event, but the point is that we want to continue growing, just as we do as a school district, just as we do as a city. So I'm going to go ahead and present this to you. We can go ahead and have your team take a photo because I didn't bring my photographer with me, which would be me, right? So if we could please take a photo, it would be greatly appreciated, and thank you again.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll go ahead and pack this up for you.
Item number 2, update report on construction projects. Believe we're going to have a, is that a video, Mr. Peña?
Oh, yes, sir. Mr. Sines, are we ready? For the video. We just want to give, the community and our school board an update on all the projects that we have going on and some of the updates.
You could tell we just got back from Labor Day.
I motion to table all items on the agenda.
Good morning. We're here in front of the Rattler softball field. Just to give you an update, we are currently on phase 1 construction, and they're installing the drainage system here. As you can tell, this is a process of 90 to 120 days. We're still in phase 1, like I mentioned before. As you can tell here, they've already removed all the grass, all the chain link fence, and they're working on all 4 fields at the same time. We hope to finish these fields hopefully by late November, early December. We're going to be removing all the, redoing all the chain link fence and putting a metal fence on all 4 fields. They're also going to be installing a new netting system behind on the backstop on all 4 fields as well. And the field's going to look great, for our kids to play on. So looking forward to that. But right now, like I mentioned, we're still in phase 1 of construction.
We at RGCGISD take great pride in offering the best education to our students. With that being said, we must continue to ensure our students are afforded the opportunity to learn in the safest environment possible. We have several projects currently underway with the aim of renovating what needs improvement. One such example is the renovation of the floor of the Gruya High School gymnasium, which is currently in process. We have also embarked on several roofing projects throughout our district. The roof at Albert and Celia Barrera has been completed, as well as phase 1 and 2 at Ringgold Middle School. Several buildings at the entrance of Fort Ringgold needed work on their roofs, and they have been started. Building 4 at Fort Ringgold was also in desperate need of attention, and after much inspection, the long overdue, much needed repairs have begun. While this is a long process, passerbyers can marvel at the difference that has already been made. During these daunting times, we have taken every precaution to ensure our students are safe. We have installed over 99% of our touch-free toilets and sinks throughout the district, and over 95% of our touch-free water dispensers. We will continue updating as more projects are started and completed. Remember, at RGCGISD, we will continue offering experiences of a lifetime.
Those are the projects that we have currently going on or have completed, and we have several phases of these going on. So we'll keep updating as we go along, sir.
Awesome. I think those videos should be shared as much as you can.
Yes, sir. We'll present them here first, and then we'll put them on our Facebook page and our district webpage as well.
Great. Okay, item number 3, update report on ESSER 3 grant monies. Ms. Gina Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Peña, ladies and gentlemen. I provided a brief use of funds spreadsheet for each one of you. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but do you have any questions?
Let me ask a couple of questions. Number 1, we got 41,800,000 and something dollars. How much have we expended so far?
Approximately 7 million.
7 million?
Sir, we have not received the entire amount. We've only received 2/3 of the amount.
How much is that? 20?
24,000, and I have it right here. Give me one
24
second.
million?
I mean, 27,643.
And we've expended how much you said?
About 7. We haven't pulled everything down, but what I mean by pull down is actually taken from the grant and put into our account, but we've already expended that much.
So if we haven't pulled that down, how do we pay?
Well, as we're expending it, it's being pulled down. So every day, it's
Okay, but we've at least pulled down $7 million, correct?
at least, yes.
Like, I noticed we have like tutorial programs,
Yes, sir.
3.4, that is still, we haven't gone through that money yet, right?
No, we are, actually today, some of the schools have begun their tutorial programs. We have begun the after-school enrichment already, that started on day one. We also began the day tutor program, that started on day one. And then any pre-award expenses that we had, for example, the summer program that we had previously, all the curriculum development, some of the curriculum programs, a lot of the maintenance was a prepaid. Some of the extra duty pay also, if you notice, was a pre-award, that was also paid. That was probably year 1920, I believe, right after COVID. Now, we were going to charge it off to ESSER 1, didn't happen, they didn't grant us that, so we're going to charge it off to this one.
What did we get from ESSER 1?
We actually received, I want to say 800 and, a little over 800,000 in ESSER
That was to
1.
pay computers, correct? Or not?
Yes, and then remember that we went into a partnership with Region 4, and the state provided us with additional support in computers and hotspots. We
Okay.
paid zero money from there.
So we still have available about $20 million, correct?
Yes, sir. And remember that we also have ESSER 2 coming.
And
That's
we
the
have-
18
and
million.
we have the rest of ESSER 3 still pending for next year,
Correct.
Any ideas how much that ESSER 2 is going to be?
About 18 million, a little over 18 million.
Have we made has an application?
The application is going to open soon, and I should be applying for it pretty soon. I'm thinking within the next 2 weeks.
So ESSER 2 is what was designed for learning, loss of learning, or?
Loss of learning, PPE, and any additional supports for safe distance, anything that we're doing with ESSER 3, same thing applies. Retention stipends, retention salaries, anything like that.
Any other questions for Ms. Gonzalez? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Number 4, update report on insurance coverage for devices. Ms. Benitez.
Good evening, President of the Board, Board members, Mr. Peña, the public in general. I gave you a report, I want to say it's in your packet, and it's a comparison between what, these are the numbers that I received from our librarians as far as damaged equipment. What you see in the tables that are in red, those are the percentages that you can, as you can see. For example, we have a total between all schools right now in circulation, 7,854 laptops, of which 10% are damaged. So that's a total. So right now, for example, we just purchased Chromebooks, and they're $250 each. So that would be a total of $196 to replace that 10% of laptops that are damaged. Versus if you look at the second page of the report, oh, hold on. I do have an updated report. I think I gave you, I was missing a couple of elementary schools the day that we submitted. So if you want the updated, I do have a copy.
It's on page 43.
Yeah.
So the total amount of money needed to replace the 10% of the laptops would be $196. And if you look at the adjacent pages, that's the estimate that each company gave us. We got 3 different quotes, but as you can see, even the lowest estimate, it's $820,928 for 2 years. So that's about $400,000 per year.
So it's not cost effective, ma'am, in your opinion?
Mhm.
Okay.
In my opinion, it is not cost. Plus, what I did not include on this report is that in order to have, to be making the claims for this, for the insurance, we would probably need a full-time person, clerk.
So you say that we normally lose about 10%, which represents how much?
196,000?
So basically, if I understand you correctly, in 2 years, it would cost us 400,000 to replace those computers?
Yes.
But the lowest bid we got was 820,000.
Correct. And the other thing was that we could only insure laptops 2 years and newer.
Okay.
So, doesn't make sense, honestly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. No further questions? No? Good? All right, I think that does it for reports and information. Let's go to section 6, recommending approving the consent agenda. The board has agreed to discuss the following items. All of the items below that are not called out will be approved by consent. Consent agenda item number 1, consider and take possible action on donations to Rio Grande City Gruya ISD.
Mr. President, I move that we approve consent agenda item 1, 2, 3, 4, as presented in our board packet.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve consent agenda items 1 through 4. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Castillo. Any discussion required? There being none, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign. Motion carries. Action item number 5, consider and take possible action on request for use of school facilities from Mr. and Mrs. Benito Trevino for filming short documentary film produced by American Forests, Fort Ringgold grounds.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 5, and I think item 6 that was just presented to us on the tax rate.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve action items number 5 and number 6. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Pope. Any discussion required? There being none, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign. Motion carries. Item 7, there will be no action required as the administration is not recommending that particular item, so there will be no action required on item 7. Item 8, consider and take possible action to use Texas Class Investments pool for approved bond monies.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 8 as presented with a little bit of discussion.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Castillo. Discussion by
Yes,
Mr.
I'd like to know what, so you could explain what's going on.
Mr. Robles Mendez, please.
We couldn't just do another agreement with a higher cap?
Okay, basically, at the beginning of August, we received $71,650,000 of bond proceeds, and we deposited those funds into a new account with Lone Star National Bank. And a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Ruben Chapa, along with the chief financial investor at Lone Star National Bank, visited our offices, and they recommended or asked our help into transferring those funds into another financial institution. The reason that they gave us is not that they don't want our monies, but again, in these unprecedented times again, we've never heard of a bank refusing funds in such a large amount. So basically they said that there is a large inflow of funds coming in from the government, from those loans that were provided to employers, from all these stimulus funds being sent to municipalities and school districts. So they are having a hard time having or managing those funds. The reason is that they are telling me we cannot hold those funds because with all these funds, our bank will have to go through a different regulation as bigger banks do. And they don't want to go through that process because this is not a permanent situation. It's just that it's taking time for everybody to disburse those funds and use those funds. They're saying that the government did not think about smaller banks in sending this large inflow of funds to our communities. So basically, we are recommending to transfer those funds to Texas class. And this is a type of investment funds or options that we have where our funds will be collateralized with U.S. Treasury and U.S. government agency obligations. We will be making a little bit more of interest rates, of interest in this investment pool.
Let me ask real quickly, the monies we're transferring, they're going to be collateralized by securities, correct?
Yes, sir.
How much money is it that we exceeded the cap by?
Our depository contract, it's at 80 million. So basically, I believe our balances, well, including debt service, capital projects, transmittal funds, and all of these general fund, it's close to $60 million.
So they're grouping everything together?
Yes. So we only had about $20 million available to deposit to that contract. And so we had to open another account that would be earning a lesser interest rate.
Let me ask you, on this particular, when we transfer it to this investment pool, are we getting a better interest rate or a lower interest rate than we
No,
have?
it's a little bit more.
What's the interest rate from Lone Star? What's the interest rate here?
They were giving us 5 basis points, and this one will be 7 points.
When you say 7 basis points, it's 0.07?
Yes.
Not even 1% then, right?
No, sir.
They're giving us 0.07, Lone Star was at 0.05.
Yes.
And what if this is the only investment pool that we have available? Are there other options?
We went ahead and chose this one because we do have an active account with them. We've used them in the past with the other bond issues that we've had in the past. We were trying to see through the TASB. However, there was like a third party involved, and so the fees were a little bit more. So that's why we decided to go with the Texas class.
But were they giving us more percentage points on the TASB?
No, basically it was more basis points, but with the fees, it was
Going to be
less.
less money?
Yes.
0.07%.
Has TASB provided have they provided a proposal or anything? That
Yes,
could
they
review
did
that
provide it
follow?
at the beginning.
How long do we have to transfer this money?
They didn't give me a deadline.
By when?
They did not give me a deadline.
Well, let me ask you, could we transfer it here and then transfer it out, right? We're not
Yes.
obligated.
No, we're
In
not
other words,
obligated.
We're not obliged to keep it there for 30 days. We can actually transfer it today and transfer it out
Yes.
5 days from now, correct?
Yes, sir.
No penalty? All
No.
right. Well, I mean, that makes it easier.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we transfer it there and then see if there's anybody else who's offering more money?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Varela, you want to amend your motion?
Yeah, I make a motion, we approve item 8 as presented in our board packet.
We have to add that conditional caveat?
Well, we can always come back, and she's going to look, and she finds something, she'll bring it back to us.
Yeah.
Correct?
We don't have that as a part. All right. So there's a motion by Mr. Varela, second by Mr. Castillo. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 9, discussion and possible board action to ratify extension request for the approval of pending application Rising Star Solar LLC, Texas Comptroller File Number 1571, for agreement for limitation to appraised value of property for school district maintenance and operations taxes. A motion or any discussion on item 9?
Can we discuss them before we make a motion or not?
Yes, of course.
Mr. Button?
Yes, because that was indicated at the hearing
Okay.
prior to this, so yes. You can discuss without a motion.
So just for the record, we're going to be discussing items 9 through 18.
Well, yeah, items 9 through 18, they all have to do with,
They're all related?
they are related to the solar panel. Yeah.
All right.
But I guess we could start with item 9, and I'm sure the conversation is going to be all intermingled.
I'm back again. So the first two items are requests for the board to ratify the extension of time granted by the superintendent Under the tax code, the board has 150 days to take action unless an extension is granted. We asked for an extension through the end of September, so that way we could get to tonight's board meeting, and we're just asking the board to ratify the superintendent's action to make sure that you are on the same page and that we're allowed to take any further action tonight.
And that would be the same request for item number 10?
Yes, sir.
So those two together, right?
And
Yes,
what's
sir.
the number, item 11 then?
Board agenda?
Item 11 would have to do with the resolution creating the Rising Star Reinvestment Zone number 1.
Those are the... Okay, thank you. So, okay, would you like me just to go through each one? Just how would you
Go right ahead,
prefer
yes.
to do it?
Go
Okay,
ahead.
so then items 11 and 12, if the board chooses, those would be the actual resolutions creating the reinvestment zone for each of the individual projects. So you're designating the area where each project would be located as a separate reinvestment zone. That's
So we can decide the area, ma'am?
well, that would be the area that the reinvestment zone is. You could do it somewhere else, but we couldn't do the project. So, like that.
How is that again, ma'am?
So basically, you can designate wherever you would like to be the reinvestment zone. However, the companies applied to build their project on this specific area.
Okay.
So if you create the reinvestment zone somewhere else, we couldn't go forward with the rest of the projects tonight.
Okay, ma'am, keep on. So basically, it's our way or the highway, right?
I'm trying to think of a better way to say that. That's, it's a cooperative way. So.
What's the goal of the development of the reinvestment? Is it, I understand infrastructure, right? That's related to solar panels, but are we talking about paving? Are we talking about?
Can I address this to the company who's actually going to build it? They can speak a little more clearly.
So within the boundaries of the reinvestment zone, all you would expect to see would be an array of panels, a substation, and some roads, kind of inter-facility roads, mostly caliche, and that's really it. There would be a transmission line to tie into the main line out there, a generation tie line. That likely won't be within the reinvestment zone. And then the off-taker will also have a substation that is not part of the project. It's associated with the project, but it is not eligible for a 313, and it will not be within the reinvestment zone. That'll be a separate taxpayer, fully taxed.
Is there a plan in there to develop or to at least pave what would be that road, which I believe it's called La Brisa's Road? It's where Sagonada is, I would assume, because you have to move equipment into
So
town.
that's correct. That is the right road. At this time, that's something we would work on with the county. With the county, any agreements we have with them will actually have to have a road use agreement. And so as part of that, we'll need to improve some roads to bring the heavy equipment in. And additionally, after the fact, after we're done, we'll have to remediate the road to better than we found it, essentially. So if the equipment ends up being too heavy for that road, yes, we'll have to pave it or do whatever needs to be done in order to get the equipment in.
Are you bringing the equipment in down through 755? Or would
Yes,
it be
sir.
through
It'll
83?
likely come from 755 and then go east from there.
So let me ask you a question, ma'am. You said at the beginning, I know you told us we recapture 1.6, 1.6, but what was the value what was our bonus?
So can I correct that?
Yeah, actually, I need to correct myself.
So one of the projects, that's correct for. The other project is bigger. It's a 200 megawatt project, and the first year valuation we're projecting for that is 165 million. So I think the benefit to the school is about 2.4 million on that, right?
2.4 and 1.6?
2.9 and 2. So can I start at the beginning?
Sure.
I misspoke. When I thought they were exact mirror images, one's a little bit bigger. So the smaller project would be the 1.6 plus 1.5.
1.6 plus 1.5.
So
that's it, recapture.
That's the recapture plus the supplemental payment.
How much is supplemental payment?
1.6. 1.5, excuse me. 1.5 is the supplemental payment. The recapture is 1.6.
And then the other one?
The other one, the recapture is 2.3, and the supplemental payment is 2.4, because the project is actually bigger.
So the recapture supplement, okay, so the recapture is $3.8 million? If you add both?
Between the two, yes, sir.
And that's paid out over
That's one-time payment
okay, and the other one is paid out
over 9 years.
over 9 years. Let me ask you a question, and this is just food for thought. I know you people put solar panels, and I know that you're saying that we're going to get 1.6 and 2.4 over a designated time period. But my question is, we're having new schools going up. What's the possibility of you putting solar panels for our schools?
NextEra has worked on community projects like that in the past, and that'd certainly be something we'd be interested in talking about. I'm just a tax representative, but I can certainly get you folks in touch with the right person that could make that happen.
Well, the only reason I'm saying is that we're going to have to wait 8 years to get 1.6 or 2.4. And I sometimes wonder if we could reach some kind of agreement of we're having a brand new school and maybe putting solar panels to the tune of close to where we're at here and forget about the recapturing of over 8 years. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's certainly something the taxpayer would be interested in. But unfortunately, I can't make that decision tonight for them.
In other words, instead of recapturing over an 8-year period, that they put solar panels maybe on the new school we're building in La Grulla and maybe one other school. And I'm just saying at the end, it's going to be our benefit because I think those things pay themselves off in about 12 years, correct?
There is one restriction on why that might not be able to
Okay,
work.
ma'am. You're the bearer of bad news today, ma'am.
Yeah.
Nothing that we say works.
Yeah, no. Ultimately, it could work. It depends on the dollars of how much it costs, because there's a restriction on how much a school district can receive in either money or goods under the statute. It can't be more than $100 per ADA per year of the agreement. So they couldn't give you all of this money up front, because you need years to elapse of the agreement to generate that ADA that we get to charge off against. So, and ideally, them coming in and putting the solar panels, whereas the solar panels might be $2.4 million in total, that would actually, I'd defer to the company on how much it costs to do that, but we could not get ahead of where we would be in terms of the possible amount that you could receive
So
in dollars
basically
at the
on the
same time.
recapture, on the 8 years, you can't do it with the 8 years.
You can't do it with the 8 years.
But
Now,
you
on the
can.
recapture side, that has to be because of a loss. So that is a one-time payment. It's the after that first year, it catches up, and there's no with or without the agreement difference.
Well, maybe the company can give us a proposal for how much it would charge us to put solar panels. We got something like $4 million, correct?
I don't have the exact figures of how much it would cost or know the amount of megawatts that we'd be talking about at the school, but I can certainly get people in touch to look into this and see what kind of proposal we could do.
Well, I think that sounds like a great idea.
I just think to be able to go out there and put solar panels, what's the price of energy going to be 10 years from now? I don't know.
And I would like to also,
Don't be
you know,
any
why
more
you,
bare
no,
minimum
while
than
you're
that.
thinking about this, you've got them with the money, you also could ask them for the panels too
Huh?
on top of it. So I don't necessarily approach this as an either-or situation. You might want to consider this
The money and the panels is good.
and a situation.
Mr. Castillo has
Yeah.
solar panels at his house. So
Yeah.
He's the one who tells me they generate a lot of money, man.
I'm going to rely on him.
Okay, I have a question that's more for handling here. All right, now, I see the reinvestment zone. It's a rectangular figure. We know that the road is La Brisas, it attaches to 755, so there's possible paving there, right? And then you said the equipment will be pushed east, which means eventually going to meet the Highway 83, right? Now, if it's the case, let's just say hypothetically, that y'all decided to pave La Brisa Road all the way to what would be the east, all the way to the other highway, which would pass near La Union Elementary, right? Hypothetically, say if you wanted to pave that to get the heavy machine equipment in and out to both highways, would that exceed the reinvestment zone possible? Would they be on their own on that, or would we have to modify the reinvestment zone to?
So that road itself would not be part of the 313 agreement because it's not taxable, so it can go beyond the reinvestment zone boundaries. That road does not have to be within the boundaries itself. That's, basically, this is one of those things where counties can do something that school districts can't. Counties are responsible for the roads, so that's why they're going to do the road use agreement.
So it'd be
and-
more for the county to negotiate then?
Right,
Right,
but
all right.
again, this is something that you all are partners in. And if you have concerns, that we can make sure the county's
Right.
aware of that and take those into consideration when they do their road use agreement.
All these agreements that we have here, ma'am, when is your drop dead day? When is the last day?
Technically, the very last day would be December 31st of 2021, but we would need to grant a second extension to do that.
8 and 9.
Right, that
But
was, I was going to say that, if you grant the
9.
extension, then you could get another 150 days if you want more clarification on any of these items, so you don't make a decision. I got to remind you, it's a 25-year agreement. 25 years. You wait 100 days or 150 days and really flesh it out and say, this is what we're getting in exchange. You might be better off waiting for those. And I know that this is on there for today, but I think when you commit any public entity for 25 years, you need to really think it out and make sure it's all fleshed out, all the details.
Is there such a thing as a work session that would include some of our county leaders to see if there's a mutually beneficial situation here? It would also possibly benefit your company as far as the infrastructure too.
Yeah, we'd be
We have a
happy-
high school right near there. We got an elementary that's not, too far east from there. And I think that if we can negotiate the infrastructure properly, I think it would work well for
Yeah, we'd be happy to attend something like that, yes.
So what do you need to approve tonight? The extension,
9 and 10.
9 and 10, really?
Yes, if that would be the one ultimate thing that has to happen. Ideally, I would like you to do the reinvestment zone, simply because we posted the public hearing in the paper.
Which
for-
is that one, ma'am?
That would be
11 and 12.
and 12.
And that's a requirement of the TIF, right? It's that public case, it's like a different type of financing model or something like that?
No, it's simply for the 313 agreement. It's just a checkbox. It has to have a reinvestment zone if you're going to approve an agreement. And since we published it in the paper for tonight, if we could take action tonight, and if you have concerns, then we can put it off again. It's just,
That would be to
Convenience.
approve the J.D. Brock parcel
Right.
of property and say that's our reinvestment
Well,
zone.
the only
That's
problem.
already been
Yeah,
approved.
the only problem, she says that if it's not there, they're not going
Well,
to go,
right,
so it
the-
doesn't
the-
really matter, right?
The comptroller's already approved that, so that's where.
So you're asking to approve, correct me if I'm wrong, item 11, 12, 13, and 14?
No, no.
No, sir.
9,
9 through
10, 11,
12.
12.
9, 10, 11, and 12.
and then for 9 and 10, we actually we just did the extension through September 30th. If that is something you'd like to, you would include in your motion where you would like more time, if you would like that.
Well, why don't we just leave it like that, and then later we need more time, we'll go more time?
Well, some-
The only thing is that we're not going to have a meeting between now and September.
Right, right.
Right now, if you want another
have to
90
extend.
days, right now would be the time to add the days
Okay.
on the extension to the motion. That way you don't need another motion in 30 days.
How many
Correct.
days can we have? So modify.
I don't know, how many days can
You
we
can
get?
only go out to December 31st of 2021. We can't go beyond into the new year.
That's a date then.
Yeah, so, well,
So-
basically what you're saying is December 31st is drop dead day, and that's the last day to have anything approved, correct?
And that's simply because the comptroller's certificate is valid only through December 31st, 2021. So we couldn't take any action in the following year because the certificate would no longer be
So,
valid.
so if we were to approve item, like I said, 9, 10, 11, and 12, okay, item 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, how much time do you need on those items?
Um,
Do a workshop?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
let's say is there, in other words, is there a date that those items, I know you say this, as long as we do them before December 31st?
Well, this is going to get into the company's development timelines a little bit. I don't know how far along they are with the other entities. So do you have any contact with the other entities yet?
So we've been working with the EDC and the county judge, and we have not executed any tax abatement agreements or anything like that with them. We're still under the negotiation phase with those entities.
Oh, so we can all negotiate together. All right.
So, why don't we, I guess, approve item 9, 10, 11, and 12 with December 31st? Would that be right?
So 9 and 10
Extension.
would be extend through December 31st.
9 and 10.
And then if you choose to approve the resolutions, it would just be adopt the resolution creating the reinvestment
presented.
funds.
13, 13, no action required.
Why don't we do that?
Okay. You want to make the motion, Mr. Varela?
I move that we approve item 9 and 10 and extend the deadline to December 31st of the year 21, correct?
Yes.
And approve 11 and 12 as presented in our board packet, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
A second by Mr. Peña. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Okay, 5-1 with 5 in favor with 1 abstention. Motion passes.
And-
That would make, sorry, go ahead.
And I'm sorry, if I can follow up on the items 13 and following, because this is going to be you don't want to inadvertently call a meeting when you meet with these other entities, do you have like a finance committee or finance members that I can start looking at calendars with for who you want to participate in
Mr.
this
Peña?
meeting with the?
We'll go ahead and work the details out, miss. Just
Okay.
let us know when, and I'll see who wants to be on that committee.
Okay,
Just
I
meet us at
appreciate it.
Fabi's. Just kidding.
Okay, so based on that motion, that would make items 13 through 18, no action required, correct?
So
So-
a motion to table items 13
No,
through 18.
well, yeah, there's no, just the table.
Okay, yeah, I'll second that motion so we can have.
Okay. I'm in the motion to Table items 13 through 18 was seconded by Mr. Varela. All those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so
your
much.
time.
We'll
Thank
we'll
Appreciate
follow
you.
up and get some
Thank
dates
you,
with
yes, we will, definitely, thank you. Item 19, consider and take possible action to approve the agreement for the architect services for indoor swimming pool complexes for Grillo High School and Rio Grande City High School under RFQ number 22-11. And for school board members, the pages there say 296 through 310, but it's actually 286 through
Mr. President,
310.
I move that we approve item 19, 20, and 21 as presented in our board pack.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve items 19 through 21. Is there a second?
Second, subject to discussion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Discussion, I have Ms. Lopez Mendez.
I think we already proved them, no? For the architect?
Yeah, but this, I think.
These are the actual
That's for the multi-period for the swimming complex.
Ándale, okay. Vamos a ver esto.
Mr. Peña, go ahead, sir.
It's just a multi-purpose center.
Yes.
On item 19, it's the swimming pool complexes. It's the agreement that was reviewed already by Mr. Salazar.
Okay, yeah. That addresses that question.
And then,
It's a standard AIA, right? Yeah.
see, then item 20 is that old FFA building adjacent
Right.
to Ringgold Elementary.
The only thing that I know this has been a topic of discussion between myself and all of the architects. I want the district to know that I have made every effort to make sure that we take out arbitration clauses out of all of these contracts. And I've requested that all the engineers and all the architects, I've treated everyone equally. Equally, we don't want arbitration clauses. That's number one. Number two is that we are requiring that venue be mandatory in Stark County. So I don't want, if you get a call from an architect says, oh, Mr. Salazar's being harder with the snow, I'm protecting the district's interest, and the district's best interest is to stay in Stark County and not have an arbitration clause. So
But correct me if I'm wrong, when you request that, they normally do it very quickly.
every
Okay.
single one of that I have approved, I've made the request that they take the arbitration clause out, and they have. They've all been very prompt, and I tell them the reasoning, and so far, all of, even the people that did our softball fields, that they do it all over the state, all over the nation, I ask that they take the arbitration clause out, and that they make Stark County mandatory, and every single one of them has complied and changed their contract.
And they agreed to factor out the arbitration.
That we either black it out or we just delete the whole paragraph or any language that has to do with arbitration.
Normally, they could just cross it out.
They can
actually
cross it out or say arbitration deleted, but we don't put it in there.
I noticed 8.2.1, they left the mediation clause in there, and they just noted in the first sentence, it says, mediation is a condition preceded to binding dispute
That's correct.
resolution, so I would assume we could still leave that in, I mean,
Yeah, mediation is never the issue. The issue is
Yeah.
if they require mediation with an arbiter. Because then, normally the arbiters or the arbitrators are normally out of the construction, architectural, or engineering field, and normally they're going to have a slanted view of who has made or not made any errors on the projects.
because I still see they make some loose reference to arbitration still in 10.1 and a couple other provisions, but I can see where they kick the arbitration clause out. So I guess for the record, we'll just make clear that we're approving it with the intention, obviously, that with the understanding that arbitration has been deleted.
That's correct. And I'm doing that with all architectural, engineering, construction, every contract that comes to before this school board.
Let me amend my motion, then I approve item 19, 20, and 21 as presented with the removal of the arbitration clause, correct?
All right, there's an amended motion by Mr. Varela. Mr. Peña, you going to second that?
I'll second that motion.
A second by Mr. Peña. Any further discussion required?
Cool.
If
And
not,
same
all those,
applies for 21,
John in
I'm
the
sorry.
restroom?
Yeah. Oh, he's off. Huh? What does Johnny do? He just disappears on us.
I'm going to wait for, should I wait for John to get back?
Yeah.
I'll wait for John. for Mr.
If you
Polk to
like,
get
I'll
On 21,
continue
if
to
we could.
discuss.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. Yes, sir.
Okay, so on the swimming complexes, this is only the agreement. We will bring back the plans once the architect has that. Okay, so tonight we're only approving the agreement. On item number 20, now, prior to this meeting, we had asked to look at one of the old Officer Row buildings to see if we could have our 18-plus program. So at that time, our architect did go and look at the building. It does need a lot of repair. It's in pretty bad shape. So now we're asking the board to give us permission to look at the old FFA building, which is adjacent to Ringgold Elementary, and see if we can convert that portion of that building into the 18+, to see if it's more cost-effective for us.
Which one's that one? Is it by the Ringold Elementary?
Yes, sir.
The old FFA building?
The white brick building with
Next to the lily field, we just see the lily field.
a long one. Some of those areas are utilized by maintenance and as storage.
You make the curve of building.
So tonight, we're asking to see if we could,
Right when you enter, no?
yes, sir, after the softball field on the left side.
You know, and since we have a little bit of time here, I know that the issues come up about for the percentages that the architects have been charging lately, or what's normal, or what's reasonable, or what's not. But does somebody want to tell me, I don't know if Mr. Robles Mendez knows, or anybody, what's the reasonable percentage for architect services that they charge for for their work?
In the past, it was 5%. We've been seeing from 5% to 9%, 11% for some of these projects. So it all depends on the project, I think.
The more,
complexity, maybe.
the more unique, or the more,
Yes.
the higher the
I don't
percentage.
know if Mr. Garza can help us with that answer, that question.
Just want to make sure, because I know we've seen all sorts of percentages, and the more we know, the better.
Good evening, Mr.
Mr.
President,
Garza.
members of the board, Mr. Peña. The percentages fluctuate depending on the complexity of the project, and the complexity has to do with, hospital versus a school, historic preservation versus non-historic. And they'll vary from 6% all the way to 10 or 12. And then the smaller projects go even higher versus a larger project. So there's not really a set rule on it, just, we try to do our best, with the clients and so forth, yeah, I wish I could give you a straight answer, but I don't have one.
Anywhere between 5.5 to 9, I would imagine, covers most everybody.
Yes, sir. A large, school like the middle school, from 5 to 7%, something like that. And then a small $1 million project, rehab, can be at 12%,
That answers our question. That's good. Okay.
Which contract are
We don't have any issues with the ones that were being discussed? with
No, I
various-
mean, that's within the range.
Okay, so the ones we're discussing now,
6 to 9, depending on the complexity.
we? They're all falling within that range, right?
it's good. What was happening?
All the ones that I've approved.
Right. It seemed before those percentages were not being really studied or looked at, and so I'm glad that we're doing that now. All right. So there was an amended motion by Mr. Varela, it was seconded by Mr. Peña for items 19 through 21. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Garza. Item
Mr.
20
President,
yes.
before you have copies of the sample plans
Sure.
for the multipurpose, that's item 21.
Yes.
So you just approved that.
You put that. Yeah. That's the actual plan.
And it's giving the architect permission to go out and bid them when we're ready.
Correct. Okay, item 22, consider and take possible action on contracting Real Delta Engineering for civil engineering services. Do I have a motion or any discussion on item 22?
Mr. President, I move that we reject item 22 and go out for RFQs on this item again.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Castillo. Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Is there any discussion required? There being none, all those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign. Motion carries. Item 23, consider and take possible action on request for permission to hire an engineer to inspect and evaluate the existing atrium at Alberto Ancelia Barrera Elementary. Is there a motion or any discussion on item 23?
I move that we approve item 23 as presented, and we're just asking for a motion to request permission to hire somebody, correct?
That is correct. So there's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
Second, subject to discussion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Discussion. Raul Mendez.
Actually, just a quick question. I don't know, this is general, it might be for Mr. Peña. But that situation with the atrium, are we having the same situation with Ringgold Middle? And then we have some skylights that are also leaking.
Yes, sir. At Alberto Celia Barrera, there are no skylights. It's an open area. That's how it
okay.
was built.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And at Ringgold Middle, there are skylights.
Cool.
And that is part of the phases that we will be fixing in the future, sir.
That's right. That's the only question I have.
That's it. Any further discussion? All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 24, consider and take possible action on request for permission to hire an architect to inspect and evaluate the Officer Row 2 building and the Officer Row 4 building for roofing and roofing renovation respectively.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 24 as presented in our board packet. Again, we're just asking permission to hire an architect.
That's correct. There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Is there any discussion required? There being none, all those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 25, consider and take possible action on budget amendment number 2022-2. Do I have a motion or any discussion on item
Mr.
25?
President, I move that we approve item 25 and 26 as presented in our board packet.
There's a motion, Mr. Varela, to approve items 25 and 26. Is there a second to that motion? Second, Mr. Castillo. Any discussion required?
Discussion. I just noticed we were missing 25 in the packet. We just
Yes.
got it right now as a supplement, right?
Yes, that is correct. You have any question, Mr. Peña?
Okay, just to Mrs. Robles, 25?
Yes.
I just got it.
Yes, sir.
Could you explain it?
Yes, the first amendment is to amend revenues from the state and tax collections, and that is basically due to the decrease in enrollment that we had. So we had to adjust those things. The second one is for the debt service. Again, it's tax collections, state aid, and also some expenses for this was for the refunding of the bonds that we had along with the issuance. Basically, again, it was due to the
It was
decrease in
already
enrollment.
discussed, right, on the
Yes.
forum with the budget amendments. Okay, I got
Yes.
it. So now we're just ratifying.
Yes, and then the third one again is for debt service, and that's for the issuance of the bonds and the refinancing. And then also, the last one is for the capital projects, and that is just to set up the budget for the bond proceeds so that we can start expending those costs of architects and construction costs.
Got it. And congratulations on the rating for the business department, by the way.
Thank you,
I don't
sir.
know if we mentioned that.
What was the rating, Ms. Robles?
What's an A?
Of what?
An A.
Thank you.
I don't think you've ever had anything less than an A in your life, have you?
Great job, Ms. Robles.
Thank you.
For those that
Auditor
didn't hear, it was an
department, not only
A.
yourself.
It was an A.
Auditor department.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any further discussion required? All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 27, consider and take possible action on requisitions $5,000 and over.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 27 as presented in our board packet.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Mr. Peña, any discussion required? There being none, all those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 28, consider and take possible action on awarding of the following bids, which is RFP number 22-14 and number 22-15.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 28 as presented in our board packet.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Castillo. Is there any discussion required?
One discussion real quickly, having back to the item. I know we have another gentleman here, which is Chris, that helps Ms. Robles. Again, Chris, I don't know who else is on your staff here, but congratulations on a job well done, sir.
On item 28, I do just want to say that there was a bunch of invitations sent out and newspaper notices, so I applaud the effort. I like
Thank
to
you.
see that because it shows that we're getting
trying
that, we're
to,
getting it
yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
So these are the ones that are actually applying
Yeah.
for it. All right, any further discussion required on item 28? Okay, all those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 29, consider and take possible action on renewal of TASB policy services for the 2021-2022 school year.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 29 and 30 as presented in our board package.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve items 29 and 30. Is there a second?
Second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Any discussion?
Also removal of arbitration? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right.
Okay. There being no further discussion, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 31, consider and take possible action on legal services retainer agreement between Walsh, Gallegos, Trevino, Kyle, and Robinson, PC, and Rio Grande City ISD for the 2021-2022 school year. Do I have a motion and discussion, item 31?
How do we go about that? For what services is this, could I ask? And
Dr. Salinas?
More like a subscription.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, members of the board, Mr. Peña, Superintendent of Schools. This is a retainer fee of $1,000 per year. Of course, anything added questions or scenarios that the special ed, specifically the special ed department.
And I think it's important to note that it's $1,000 a year, and you can call them as much as you can, and it comes with publications, articles. I actually discussed this with Mr. Salazar because he could probably do some of it, but I'm thinking if there's something he doesn't know, or you call this service a lot for $1,000 a year, I didn't think it was something that was it's worth it.
$1,000 a month, correct?
No, a year.
A year.
A year.
And there will be some situations that they will bill.
I actually thought it was a month, but I was correcting myself, Mr. Varela. That's why I wanted to put it out there. It's $1,000 a year.
With that said, I move that we approve item 31 as presented in our board package.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Salinas. Item 32, consider and take possible action on agreement between Texas Impact Network and Rio Grande City Gruya ISD. Is there a motion or any discussion on item 32?
I move that we approve item 32 as presented in our board package.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. I think we need a little, anybody need discussion on this one? I think
I don't quite understand.
it's a little detailed, so Ms. Morris, will you help us out?
Item 32?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, what item 32 is, it is the teacher incentive allotment. In summer, we were contacted by Dr. Socorro Espinosa, who is a consultant who works for Educate Texas, and they were starting a cohort of school districts that they were going to help through the TIA process. And when I read the email, it said that they would be providing technical assistance for free, and I thought, that can't be. So I sent the email to Ms. Benitez, and I said, can you follow up with this lady, see if this is free? It says it's free, and set up a Zoom. So we reached out, we set up a Zoom, and it turned out that they were picking up 4 school districts, and they were offering technical support assistance, which we were about to engage in with another company for $60,000. So we were able to be part of that cohort, so we will be applying for the teacher incentive allotment as cohort E with TEA, and there are no costs associated with her services because she's being paid through Educate Texas as part of a grant. So basically, they're going to help us through the whole process of the teacher incentive allotment. She's coming to work with our teachers as well, and she's going to, we've been doing Zooms with our teachers, telling them what it is and informing them of what it is, but she's taking it step by step, but all of that is free to us.
Any further?
I have a question
Sure.
just for council, if I could.
Yes.
If we could just review on page 3D7, the very first paragraph at the top. I don't know what your opinion on that would be, but I believe she tries to waive sovereign immunity for the school. I don't know if that can be waived, but there's a waiver there.
Well, I understand, but we can't waive it. I mean, the
Okay.
district can't waive it. We could waive it by contract, so I'll review this one and take
Yeah,
that
if you
one out.
could, yeah. I think if we could reject that paragraph.
But I don't remember, again,
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing this. Normally, everything that comes through the superintendent's office is sent to me to review, but I don't think this one came to my office.
Is there a deadline? Is there a deadline on this one, Ms. Morris?
Yeah, so she can continue services with us since we're not paying. She's waiting for us to sign the contract so we can continue.
Okay. Subject to?
Yeah, I could, if I could, ma'am, just submit a modification to the motion.
Okay.
See, I motion to approve agenda item number 32 as presented, subject to a modification of the contract to exclude any provisions that require the school to waive sovereign or governmental immunity.
Okay, there's an amendment.
Or to indemnify.
And also to exclude any provisions that require indemnification of the contractor.
Okay, there's an amended motion by
I'll
Mr.
second
Peña,
that motion.
seconded by Mr. Varela. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Moore. Item 33, consider and take possible action on renewal of DMAC contract.
I move that we approve item 33 as presented in our board packet.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that item? Second by Mr. Castillo.
I'll
Eh,
second that. Oh, sorry.
You can
I'm
third it.
trying to get through. It's Tuesday. My bad.
Any discussion required on item 33? There being none, all those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 34, consider and take possible action on contracted services for strategist instructional coaching. The motion or any discussion on item 34?
I move that we approve item 34 as presented with discussion.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
Second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Discussion?
What is that? What is item 34?
Item 34 is basically a contract to provide academic coaching strategies for all of our strategists. One of the things that we want to make sure that our strategists know is that they're not additional administrators, that they're there to coach and support the teachers. So we felt that there was a need, since this is the first time that we do have strategists in our district, that we provide them with the proper training and guidance to facilitate, support, and not be an additional administrator. So we wanted just to clarify the role and then provide them the support and training they need to be able to do their job a little bit better.
Any further questions or discussion? All right, there's a motion by Mr. Varela. It was seconded by Mr. Peña. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 35, consider and take possible action on Jane Schaefer leadership trainings.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 35 and 36 with discussion.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
Second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Discussion?
Yeah, what are those two?
Good evening, President of the Board,
Good evening.
Board members, Mr. Peña, Superintendent of Schools. Item 34 on, I'm sorry, 35 on the leadership. This is, what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and continue our training, our leaders, our campus principals for the Jane Schaefer program that we've implemented from third grade on up. And what we're asking for is just to compensate our administrators for their Saturdays at $25 an hour for each one of our administrators, since they're going to give up their Saturdays so they can
How
come in
much,
for
ma'am?
training. 25?
$25 an hour?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
And for item number 36, on the, we did purchase the AYD SEL program from Agile Mind for our teachers, and so that they can implement these SEL strategies within the classroom instruction. So what we're going to provide is a training for our teachers also, and this is just to pay our teachers for their Saturday services at $25 an hour.
Ms. Ayala, just for purposes of presentation, could you state the cost of those and the source?
Yes, on number 35, I think it's 21,000 for 3 Saturdays that we have scheduled, and that will be for from ESER 3. And I don't have the exact number for the 36 right here in front of me, but that'll be, I think it's 9,000 through the gates.
I would say 9,000 through gate.
And that'll be through the gates ward that we have.
Right.
Okay, that's from the gate.
The grant.
Yeah, it'll be from the grant money. It's that's from the grant.
That's fine.
Oh, okay. Gates grant. I see it.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? There's a motion by Mr. Varela, was seconded by Mr. Peña. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 37, consider and take possible action on, did I skip one? No, on text, sorry, I skipped one, didn't I? No, I'm sorry. 37, consider and take possible action on textbook adoptions.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 37 and 38 as presented in our board packet.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Castillo. Any discussion required?
The funding source?
Okay.
Instructional materials EMAT.
All right, there's, which item?
What is that? The 36 and 37. I think they're both funding through EMAT.
Okay, Ms. Benitez, on just the funding of the source for the funding, I'm sorry.
The funding source for the textbooks is from EMAT, which is the Texas allotment. It is strictly for textbooks.
It doesn't cost us a penny.
It
They
does not, it does not cost us a penny. That money comes directly from the state, goes directly from the state to the vendors.
So basically, books for the school districts are free, right?
Yes. Basically, they are free. But there is a cap, so we do have to be careful how we spend it anyway.
Any further discussion? There was a motion by Mr. Varela, second by Mr. Castillo. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 39, consider and take possible action on Rio Grande City Gruya ISD School Counseling Plan. Is there a motion or any discussion on item 39?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 39 and 40 as presented in our board packet.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Any discussion required?
What are the plans?
Okay, with Ms. Olivares and Ms. Escobedo.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, Mr. Superintendent, and all members of the board in our community. I come before you on behalf of the Counseling Department to seek approval for our school counseling plan. It's new. We worked on it this year. It is aligned to our Texas model that counselors follow. It's by TEA. And so because of House Bill 18 and Senate Bill 179, which require counselors to spend 80% of their time directly working with students and require us to have a school counseling plan, we went ahead and created one. It is before you. That's our baby. And so we come before you to seek approval.
Okay. The thing I was going to ask real quick,
Yes.
and the reason I wanted to ask, you know, I know that since we've been out with COVID for such a long time, and now we're getting students, how are, you know, have the numbers increased as far as children and students having problems, difficulties? In other words, have we had, I don't want to use the word, but have we had to have, what do you call it, those counselors that counsel kids about problems that they have on things of that nature?
We're
Besides
seeing,
the school, getting away from the school.
yes,
LPCs, man.
we're seeing a little increase in that. I know that the district has under the direction of Ms. Villarreal, Ms. Morris, has created kind of like an SEL department that has LPCs and social workers in addition to our school counselors. We always see the need at the beginning of the year just because kids are always nervous or, you know, more nervous coming back. But yes, this year we've seen it
Have you
just
seen
a
it
tad
bigger
more.
this year than we have in other years?
A little more, yes. Yes, we have.
Ms. Olivares, I just
Unfortunately.
have a question. I'm looking through the plan here. Is there any provision for, say, substance abuse?
So we have a substance abuse prevention and intervention director that has her department that works with that. So we do have guidance with that as well.
Because I could tell you in the legal practice, we're seeing an uptick in different types of substances that are starting to be abused, and it's a bit alarming. I think, you know, one of them, for example, is meth. I think that's something that's starting to grow a bit, and that hits both parents and some of the students alike. But y'all's department work together, right?
And I'm glad to say that the district has taken, you know, a proactive approach to this and is addressing these issues that are coming up, that we're seeing that are coming up. So
that'd be a different plan, just in case. Maybe if we had any questions, I'd address them to that director. Okay. All right.
Yes, in October is, you know, Drug Prevention Month, so we are planning on activities already in that department.
And we do have a schedule of events for that. It just, you know, hasn't come out yet. But yes, Ms. Crystal Garcia is working on that with us. So
Okay.
Any further discussion? Question? There being no further, there's a motion by Mr. Varela, was seconded by Mr. Peña. All those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
both, thank you. Item 41, consider and take possible action on student handbook and extracurriculum code of conduct for the 2021-2022 school year. Is there a motion or any discussion on item 41?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 41, 42, and 43 with discussion a little bit.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Okay, discussion?
I just want to know what on-date
On
suite
data.
software.
Okay, that I have Ms. Pratt for that, my record. No? Is anybody here to present on item 42?
Ms. Morris, that's on Ms. Pratt's item, page 455.
Yes, the On-Data Suite, that is a renewal, and it is something that we use together with our Power School that enables the PEMS department to be able to generate reports, upload information, and I think that what we realized this year is that it's being underutilized, so we've identified a lot more areas that we can use and a lot more functions that we can use it for to run reports. So I guess in working with it, we've discovered it does more than we actually knew that it did. So that is basically a renewal. We've always had it in place, but we've discovered it serves a lot more purpose than we knew, so.
So it's for Power School then?
It is for Power School.
In conjunction with Region 1.
Yes.
Yeah. And the cost is only, I think it's 5,000?
It's a renewal, yes. It's an annual renewal, but it does help us with what it does, it kind of gives you the setup as to how you would upload to the state, so you're able to upload and identify errors and maybe fatal errors that you would get submitting to the state, but you get them before you submit. So it kind of like runs a query on all the data that we submit, and if they see something that's wrong, it'll spit it out, and we're able to correct it before actually uploading it to the state.
It audits
So-
before you actually do?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion required on item 42? No? What other item, Mr. Varela?
There's item 41, 42, and 43.
Okay, we got 42. Any discussion
I
on?
don't have any.
No? All right. Anybody else have any discussion required? All right, that being said, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 44, consider and take possible action on request for permission to purchase the multi-sensory teaching approach, MTA dyslexia teacher resources. Do I have a
Mr.
motion or any discussion on item
Yeah,
44?
Mr. President, I move that we approve 44 and 45 as presented in our board pack.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela to approve items 44 and 45. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Castillo. Is there any discussion required? There being none, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 46, consider and take possible action on BEECL Comprehensive Staff Development Plan under BE exception and ESL waiver for the 2021-2022 school year. Yeah, that's it. It goes to another item.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. President, can I move that we put 46 and 47 in executive session since we were going to be talking about compensation?
okay, there's a motion by Mr. Varela to move item 46 and 47 into executive session as it deals to personnel. Is there a second to that motion? There's a second by Mr. Pope. All those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries.
Funding is general, sorry.
No, that's going to go into executive.
This one's
so-
going to executive.
Yeah, we'll discuss that Monday. Yes, sir. Item 48, consider and take possible action on request for permission to purchase 50 Chromebooks for Staff Development Center. Do you have a motion or any discussion on item 48?
Mr. President, I move we approve item 48 as presented in our board packet with discussion.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. Discussion, I have Jesus Martinez.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, Mr. Ramirez, members of the board, and Mr. Peña, Superintendent of Schools, and audience present. Item 48, when the pandemic hit back in 2020, March 2020, we had already purchased Chromebooks for the bilingual ESL Staff Development Center to be able to train teachers and teacher aides with the different programs that we have for the school year. Unfortunately, when the pandemic hit, we had to issue out those Chromebooks to the students. Because it was so suddenly that the schools were in need of Chromebooks, so we had to disperse them. We haven't been able to replace them, so we're asking for permission to be able to purchase those. We stay with the cows, which is to be able to connect them and charge them, but we don't have the equipment. Right now, I know teachers got laptops, but teacher aides did not. And through the identification of students and reclassification, we do have to train teacher aides and bring them in, and they have to take a test and calibrate. So we need those devices to be prepared for the future.
Do you have funding, sir?
We do have funding, Mr. Villarreal. Right now, the only thing I would ask is pending availability because it's through Title III. excuse me, state bilingual. State bilingual, we do have the money right now. Title III, we're pending because it should have come in as of September the 1st, but right now it's on hold by the state.
Do you want us to approve this items pending funding then?
We do have funding right now through the state bilingual.
Okay.
And the cost is 11,825.
That is correct, yes, sir.
$240 per unit, ¿verdad?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
That is correct.
Right. Any further discussion required on item 48? There being none, all those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 49, consider and take possible action on request for permission for 1B ESL Director, 4B ESL Strategies, and 5 principals to attend the National Association of Bilingual Education Conference to be held on February 8th, 2022 through February 10th, 2022 in New York, New York.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 49 and 50 as presented in our board package.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion? There's a second by Mr. Castillo. Any discussion required? And item 48, how are they chosen? I think everybody's going
The
to want to
principals?
go, no? 49.
49. The principals?
All of them. Well, yeah, let's start with the principals.
Well, the principals, Mr. Peña, basically right now we're trying to get to 90% for all the campuses. So basically the first principals to get to 90% attendance will be the ones
So there's an
going.
incentive.
You
There's
know.
an
Well,
incentive.
can we just go out there and say any principal that gets to 90% goes?
Yes, sir.
That's
We
what
will
should-
find
that's
the
what-
funding.
that-
Can we make,
I mean, that's-
can we amend that?
I was trying to get an incentive out there, but yeah.
So anybody who gets to 90% can go.
Free trip to New York.
Maybe they're staying
If
near
I
Saks
may-
Fifth Avenue.
Mr. Villarreal. If I might just clarify, with Title III money, because this is with Title III, we can only take 10 people. I mean, principals can go, but we will have to utilize like maybe Title I through Ms. Gonzalez or another fund.
She's already,
We will find the funding.
she's already saying no, so,
Yes.
Well,
don't know.
I'll amend that motion to say basically that any, on item 49, any principal that gets to 90% can attend that bilingual education conference.
okay. There's an amended motion by Mr. Varela.
I know Jay wanted to go to supervise.
We amend to
Mr.
include board
Castillo.
members.
Thank you.
But up to the 5 principal limitation,
You're
right?
not at 90%.
No, I'm 90%. That's only up to the 5 principal limitation, right? for that
Trust me, I'm doing everybody a favor by not letting them go.
Thank you.
So there was an amended motion by Mr. Varela. It was seconded by Mr.
49 and 50,
Castillo.
sir.
To 49 and 50. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries. Item 51, consider and take possible action on new district logo. I know we had a few.
Mr.
There was a, if I'm not mistaken, there was a
They
suggested,
gave us another
a
package.
suggested favorite, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, so we provided a packet this evening
Yeah.
for your review and consideration.
I think that Mr. Ramirez said something, I think it's a beautiful logo, but maybe we can incorporate maybe one of those round circles as a blue circle or something like that nature.
I think,
We bring it back to us, but I make a motion that we approve this logo that's being presented to us with a slight modification.
Yes, sir.
I think the modification might be the color. I mean,
Yes,
just
sir.
available with the color, the blue and the red. But yeah.
That's a beautiful logo.
But maybe one of the lines can be blue and the other one red or vice versa.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But the
We'll
design
bring
itself, I think that's fine. All right, so there's a motion by Mr. Varela. I'll go ahead and second that. All those, is there any discussion required?
And just for the record, to be clear, do we have to show a picture of it, or?
You can if you, well, because it's not final per se, but
Right?
you want to
I
show
don't
the
even know
design?
how we would reference the design. The
It's the
first
one that
one
was-
in item number 51.
It was one that's
Yeah.
presented to us.
That's presented?
Yes.
All right.
Good.
I'll second it.
Okay. I'll let Mr. Peña second that. All those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Okay, 5 in favor with 1 abstention, Mr. Velazquez. Motion passes. Item 52, consider and take possible action on request for renewal of workers' compensation third-party insurance contract.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 52 as presented in our board package.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Second, Mr. Peña. Is there any discussion? No discussion required? Okay.
Third party is just if the workman's comp goes over, right? Or what is it?
The third party is the administrator that administers all the workers' comp things.
Okay.
So we're self-funded.
Okay.
They're the ones that
determine whether they get taken through or not.
It's the same company, right? They just changed names, or is Ms. Basan here?
But we've been saving a lot of money on workman's comp in the last, if not to say millions of dollars in the last few years, right?
Anybody here to present on item 52?
Ms. Robles, are you aware of this? Page 549.
Yes.
Is there supposed to be a contract?
It's because I know we're self-funded, I don't, is
No,
the
we're
company, is the company changing?
I don't think it has changed.
I think they just changed names, right?
Yes.
It was York before, now it's called Sedgwick.
I was not prepared, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's all right. Maybe, is there a deadline on this? Maybe we could motion, I don't know,
Yeah.
there's supposed to be a contract here.
Yes.
September 30th?
September 30th
It's
deadline?
effective October 1st.
Is there a supplement to it, or no? There's a supplement?
It's a separate document,
I
but I
just see
don't,
52, but there's no separate document included.
Yeah. they didn't,
Why don't we do this? Can we approve item 52 pending review by our attorney?
yeah, I mean, in my understanding, it used to be called York Risk Services, and now it's Sedgwick Claims Management, but yeah, I agree with the motion. I think we need to let Mr. Salazar review the
Maybe
contract.
maybe if we, okay, so the motion to approve, let's modify the motion. Motion to approve item number 52, subject to the understanding that the contract provisions are materially similar, and that there's just a name change, and also subject to review from Mr. Salazar.
All right, there's an amended motion by Mr. Peña. Is there a second to that amended motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Varela. All those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign, motion carries.
So correct me if I'm wrong, we've saved a lot of money in workman's comp over the last couple of years.
Yes, sir, we have.
I guess to the tune of millions of dollars, correct?
Yes.
I think the last time was 2 million. 2 million.
What is our fund balance in the workman's comp? Do you have
I
it?
don't know that exact figure, sir, but I'll look.
It's in the millions, no?
Yes,
Can we move it to
Yes.
the general fund, or no?
we could try, yes.
We utilize it at some point. All right. Thank you, Ms. Robles. Item 53, consider take possible action to approve agreement for architect services for the new Performing Arts Center. Do I have a motion?
President, I move that we approve item 53 and 54 as presented in our board package.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion? Okay. Do I have a second to the motion by Mr. Varela? Second by Mr. Pope. Mr. Castillo will be abstaining to items 53. Is there any discussion required on items 53 and 54?
Had we already approved, I think we'd already approved them on the architects, right? So this is just, again, just the agreement
That's
that's being.
approving of the contract.
And now again, to go back to the point I was making about the percentages, I think here was 7%. So still within the 5 to 9. I just, we weren't, honestly, back, I don't think, it's something that we started to do because we weren't, the percentages were all over the place. So I'm glad that now we're getting them within some kind of range. So that's the only reason I'm asking, but, any other discussion required?
Same caveat with arbitration.
Okay. You want to amend that motion then, Mr. Peña?
Yeah, I move to approve agenda item number 53 and number 54, with 53, the approval subject to the caveat that the contract, we're entering into it with the understanding that the contract is excluding all arbitration as a method of binding dispute resolution.
There's an amended motion by Mr. Peña. Is there a second to that amended
I'll
motion?
second
Second by Mr. Varela.
Abstain number
Mr. Castillo will be abstaining to item 53. With no further discussion, all those in favor, so signify by raising your right hand. Same, well, you have to take it one at a time, don't we?
Right, but either way, both of those arbitration clauses have been, one of them was deleted, and the other one was struck through already, so we've already done that.
But because you're only abstaining to one, well, we can call the vote the way it is.
No, that's fine, it's still passed.
Yeah, the motion still passes. We got on item 53, we got 5 to 1 with Mr. Castillo abstaining. Item 54, same sign. So motions still pass. Okay, the board will, it is now 7:54 p.m. The board will convene in executive or closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Sections 55.071 through 551.076 and 551. 2 through 551.084. We're now reconvening in open session. The time is 9:19 p.m. Before we proceed with the closed session items, let me go ahead and ask for the two items that were brought into executive. That's action item 46. Do I have a motion on action item 46?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 46 and 47 as discussed in closed session.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. All those in favor so signify by raising your right hand. Same sign. Motion carries. Do I have a motion on item A?
Mr. President, I move we approve item A, B, C, and F as discussed in closed session.
There's a motion by Mr. Varela. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second that motion.
Second by Mr. Peña. All those in favor so signify by raising your right hand.
I do, but I abstain from mine.
Okay. It's same sign. Motion carried, but Mr. Noe Castillo is abstaining from item F, so that would be 5 votes in favor with 1 abstention. Motion on item F, motion passes. As far as item D and E are concerned, no action is required for those items. So at this point, we will proceed to section 9, which is adjournment, and the time is 9:20 p.m.